Hi everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel, Life with Skye. I've got Copper here, and I've got Copper with me because today we're going to talk about the things you should think about getting before you get your Alaskan Klee. And while it's been a couple of years now since I experienced the joy of having an Alaskan Klee puppy in my life, Copper still has loads of puppy tendencies, and my wife and I joke that he's never going to grow out of being a puppy, he's just a big puppy now. So I'm going to run through some of the things that we got before we got Skye, and Skye is our black and white Alaskan Klee and our first Klee, and some of the things that we wish we had got before we got Skye that we learned about later and then had when we got Copper. So I'm hoping that they're going to help you guys if you're planning to get a Klee puppy and you're wondering what kind of things do you need to get before you bring them home. So I'm going to run through the list now. If you own an Alaskan Klee and you think that I've missed out something that would really benefit someone getting a new Klee, then please leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, make Copper's day and please hit subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers, and everyone that subscribes means a lot to us. So please do that if you enjoy our content and you love the Alaskan Klee breed. So if you're getting your Alaskan Klee puppy in the next week or so, one of the things that you may not have considered, but I would recommend, is something called a Snuggle puppy. Now, my wife was the person that found out about this Snuggle puppy, and initially when she told me about it, I was thought, nah, that's not necessary, we don't need that. And within a few hours of having Skye that very first night, I was glad we had the Snuggle puppy. So basically what it is it's like a toy, but inside it has a battery operated heart, and that heart produces a heartbeat. So basically you're stimulating the heartbeat that Skye's mother would have had, or your puppy's mother would have had, and it's supposed to provide comfort to your puppy, especially if you have them in a crate and they're obviously feeling lonely in that first night and you experience some howling and whining and barking like we experienced. So we found the Snuggle puppy was really useful, and we also used it on Copper as well. And I don't know whether it's because there was the scent of Skye on it, but it also really provided him with comfort at the start. Because when we first got Skye and Copper, we did crate them separately in different beds, and it worked really well with both of them. So that was something that I was surprised that worked so effectively. But I've spoken to a lot of people who have since owned Klee puppies and owned puppies as well, and it's worked really well. So it's called a Snuggle puppy, and I'll put a link to it in the video description below, like I will do for all the items that we mention in today's video. But the Snuggle puppy was definitely something that I was really glad my wife convinced me to buy. It worked really well. So if you've been watching our channel for some time, you may or may not know that we got our two dogs, Copper and Skye, from the Alaskan Klee breeder Nordic Mini Husky. And one of the things that Brenda did was use cat litter for her dogs and her puppies in her home. So Brenda recommended that we buy some cat litter, buy a little tray box and use the cat litter in the tray box. And the idea would be that Skye and then Copper would know by the smell of the exact same cat litter brand that this is where they were supposed to go potty, because they'd learned that behavior when they were at Brenda's house. And I have to say, it actually worked really well, especially with Skye. She got it straight away. The next day, the first day we brought her home, I think she had one accident, but the next day when she saw the cat litter box, she went straight for it and did her potty and her business in there. And I honestly can't remember Skye having that many accidents. Copper was a little slower to get it, but he still knew that the box was where he was supposed to do his potty. His aim just wasn't very good, and especially with his pooping, he would struggle with that, and sometimes he wouldn't do it in the box. But when it came to doing his peeing, he always went in the box. I was so grateful that Brenda had used cat litter and the cat litter box, and that she had told us about the cat litter and the exact brand to get, because I don't think it would have been such a smooth transition to our home and then the potty training without the cat litter. So if your Klee breeder has something that they use for potty training in their home, like a cat litter box and like cat litter, then my recommendation would be to go along and follow what they've already started by laying down the ground rules in the potty training process, and stick with that same cat litter and stick with that same method, because for us it worked really well. So I would definitely recommend giving the cat litter box and cat litter a try. And then gradually, as you're trying to establish that routine of going outside, we just moved the cat litter box closer and closer to the door until eventually we opened it up where there was a French door, and eventually put it outside the French door, and so on and so forth until we got to an area in our garden where we wanted them to do their business. So that would definitely be a great tip that I would recommend for potential Klee owners. I should also add that it's not like normal cat litter. It was actually pellets that were used with rolled up paper, so it won't leave a mess in your house if you do decide to go and get some cat litter. We didn't really have any mess, and it didn't stick to the dog's paws or anything like that, and there was no smell from it either. Something that we've realized was successful, and perhaps at the time we didn't really put as much credence into it as we should have, but that was bully sticks. People often ask us what are Klee Kai like and what are they like as dogs, and you know, you get the usual questions maybe about separation anxiety, are they fussy with their food? And one of the things that we do get quite a lot is people asking, do they chew things? And Skye and Copper have never chewed any furniture, any of our clothes. They haven't damaged anything in any of the homes that we've lived in. And looking back, we kind of put that down to using bully sticks. From a very young age, we used puppy bully sticks, and then obviously used adult bully sticks that are suitable for toy-sized breeds. And we just always give them bully sticks, and they were just always chewing on them morning, day and night. Now, I know, having read about it since, that it's probably not a good idea to allow your Klee Kai to chew on a bully stick all day long. And don't get me wrong, they would chew them for an hour or two and then they would fall asleep, and that would be it, and I would take them away from them anyway. But I have to say the bully sticks were a great way of distracting them from chewing any furniture, any clothes. If they wanted to chew something, I just gave them a bully stick. They knew where the bully sticks were. They would go to the cupboard where they were, and they would give me the eyes basically saying, are we getting a bully stick today? So if you are getting a Klee Kai and you're worried about the chewing, then I would recommend to slowly introduce bully sticks to your Klee Kai's life. Make sure you read the instructions and follow the guidelines on the recommended feeding, and make sure you get an appropriately sized one. You don't want to get a bully stick that's this long, probably the size of your Klee Kai. You want to get a small bully stick to start with, especially for a puppy. And even now, the bully sticks that we feed Copper and Skye are only about this long. Now they only last about an hour. Once an hour is gone, they've probably gone from here down to here. And we have learned to take the little knobs away from them, because Skye and Copper are both liable to swallow them whole if we're not watching them. So that's another tip. If you do decide to go with bully sticks for your Klee Kai, make sure you keep an eye on them, how they're progressing through them. And then when they get quite small, it's probably a good idea to take them away so that they don't provide a choking hazard. Though having said that, the vet told us that if they do swallow them, they usually just get digested anyway. But I'm no vet, so don't take my word for it. If you have any concerns about bully sticks, obviously speak to your own vet. So another key item, I think, and it's something that a lot of Klee Kai breeders will recommend, and a lot of dog breeders in general will recommend, is getting yourself a crate. Crate training your dog is very important, especially because you may have to put your dog away in a case of an emergency. If you leave your home and you don't feel comfortable leaving your dog in a room or letting them roam all over the house, that's when a dog crate will come in handy. Obviously, you may need to use a dog crate if you have to take your Klee Kai to the vet. So although there is a lot of discussion out there whether crating dogs is a good or a bad thing, we've always crated our dogs. And while they do have separation anxiety, they love their crates. And I mean love them. When it comes to nighttime, Copper will sometimes just put himself to bed and go into the crate. So from a young age, we got them used to being in the crate. We may put lots of blankets in there, put some of their toys in there. And I think they really enjoyed the element of feeling protected inside of it. We used to put a blanket over the crate, so a nice heavy blanket that would go over the crate, and it really felt like a den to them. That was the sense that we got, and it was their place of security and safety. Even during events that were unpredictable, if we had people to the house that they didn't know were coming or hadn't met before, sometimes Copper would go to his crate and you could tell that was really his place for feeling safe and secure. If you're living in a house that has 2 stories, or you have a long corridor that's close to your front door, something that I would probably recommend thinking about is getting a baby gate. Skye and Copper can both be skittish, and although they are quite well trained now at staying if they have to stay, you don't want to open your front door and your Klee Kai to scoot out the door, and then, you know, they're going to be pretty hard to catch. Take it from me, it's happened to us once or twice in the past. So one of the things that we didn't get, but I would now recommend if you're thinking about getting a Klee Kai, is a baby gate. Putting it in such a place where it will prevent your dog from being able to squeeze out past you and out the front door. It's something that we didn't have, and we did have a few emergencies when we first got Skye. She got loose twice. The second time was quite scary. We weren't actually staying in our home at the time. It was our cousin that was looking after her. But if we had a baby gate, the whole situation would be prevented, because she wouldn't have been able to get out the corridor and then out the front door. So I think if you are getting a Klee Kai, if it's possible within the structure of your home and the layout of your home, a baby gate is a great thing to have, just to provide you with an extra layer of security, especially as you work on that. Get to bed, stay, don't move, whatever your command is going to be for making sure that your Klee Kai listens to you and obeys you and doesn't put themselves in harm's way. Another thing that I've spoken about on this YouTube channel before is dog food or puppy food. When we first got Skye and Copper, they were both on puppy food recommended by the breeder. But over time, and I'm talking about from probably 12 weeks to 20 weeks, we gradually noticed that they were going off their dry food and their kibble. And something that I wish I had done sooner was find a fresh dog food company that provides balanced and complete meals. They're using natural ingredients. They source their meat from local butchers, And the meals are actually tailored to your specific Klee. So that's dependent on their age, their weight, their size, their activity level. So even if you've got a puppy Klee, you can work with some of these dog food delivery companies and they will tailor their meals to meet your puppy's needs. Since we made the switch to Nom Nom in America, it transformed Skye and Copper's lives. They were very food motivated at dinner time, which is something we previously hadn't seen. And we noticed they had more energy and they just seemed to be happier dogs. And then we moved to the UK and we now feed Skye and Copper button-up box. And initially when we came to the UK, we did go back to dry food, which was a mistake. And they started to show a real pickiness with their dry food and it led to stomach problems. And the vet encouraged us to feed them more regularly throughout the day. But it wasn't until we made the switch to button-up box that we actually noticed a big difference. They regained their appetite. They were really food motivated. They loved all the recipes that they had on offer, so you can pick and match the different recipes with button-up box. Other things that we noticed was that they actually shed less. When they were on the dry food, they were shedding all the time, but now they shed a lot less, and provided we groom them regularly too, it's really much more manageable. Their tear stains have improved. As you can see, Copper doesn't have any tear stains right now. Their stomach problems went away, so that was great. And I think overall, it just feels good to know that your dog is eating what is called human grade food. And yeah, I would recommend obviously following your breeder's advice, and you may want to stay on your puppy food for the first couple of months. But in my experience, and I know from the amount of messages we've got on Instagram, Klee do tend to be quite picky. And we previously recommended Nom Nom and another American brand called Ollie to a couple of Alaskan Klee owners in America, and they've all had great success with it. And there's a couple of Klee here in the UK that we've also recommended button-up box to, and they've also told us that their dogs have that mealtime excitement back, which is great. So it's something just to bear in mind when you bring your Klee puppy home. Have an idea of maybe what type of food you want to feed it in the long term, whether it's fresh dog food like button-up box or Nom Nom. It could be raw dog food like Puppy's Picnic, if you think that's something that you're interested in, or it could be customized dry food. The Spot and Tango have a great range called On Kibble, and there's a load of options in the UK like Pure Pet Food. So some of these companies can provide complete and balanced dog food that really will benefit the life of your Klee, and that's speaking from first-hand experience, and it's something that I am passionate about, because when Skye and Copper were eating the kibble that you buy at the supermarket, I didn't know about all the additives and nasties that go into some of that food, and they're very calorie dense too, which can lead to obesity. So these are just things to consider, and do lots of research before you bring your Klee home. So these last few things are perhaps not physical things, but ideas and services that you may want to consider. Obviously there's pet insurance. We have pet insurance for Skye and Copper, and I really do recommend it, especially because Klee can be sensitive dogs, they can be mischievous dogs, and it's great to have pet insurance there in case disasters strike. And I have seen some Klee owners on Instagram telling stories about how pet insurance literally saved them thousands of dollars. And if they didn't have it, they would have been in a lot of financial trouble. Another thing to consider is perhaps puppy manners classes or puppy training classes. It's something that I think we wish we had done more of Skye and Copper at a younger age. You'll also want to think about some of the vaccinations that you're going to have to get from your vet. Those usually aren't covered by pet insurance, so make sure you have budgeted for them before you get your Klee, because you'll have to get the necessary boosters and top-ups to make sure your dog is vaccinated and will be protected against any potential illnesses. Copper, what do you say? Have I forgotten anything? Have we covered it all? Have we said everything? Copper, you got some advice? Got some advice? You got some advice? You got some advice? What advice do you have? Copper thinks I've forgotten one thing. What have I forgotten then? You want to speak? So Copper just wanted me to add in one last thing. If you do get your Klee puppy, make sure you give them lots of love and affection. Expect to have to give lots of neck scratches every single day. They're smart dogs, so be prepared to give them lots of physical and mental stimulation. And just enjoy your life with your Klee, because trust me, the puppy years go past very fast. And even though Copper thinks he's a puppy still, he's now 3 years old, and it feels like just yesterday we got him. I've also got Skye here, just in case you think that Copper's my favorite. But she's taking a little nap, aren't you, Skye? But that is all for this edition of Life with Klee. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I'm going to put a link to all the items that we mentioned in this video in the video description. If you'd like any more information, feel free to DM us on Instagram. You can email us lifewithklee@gmail.com. You can follow us on TikTok, Life with Klee. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like I said, we're trying to grow it, so we appreciate every single person that follows us. It means a lot to us.